What's up, you guys? Welcome back. In today's video, I'm answering a question that one of you had, and if you go to my community tab on the YouTube page, you'll see that I opened up an opportunity for you guys to drop any questions or challenges you're having specific to the path of union, so that if I feel that your question is relevant to the community, I can answer it in a video like this, and then I'll put it on this playlist. And I felt like this question was a good one to start with. And there are like multiple questions within this question, so I'm posting it here on the screen so you can read it for yourself. And I'll just answer it in the way that I sort of perceived this. And again, this is just my subjective thoughts and opinions based on my personal experience for the last like decade plus, and the hundreds of people that I've worked with either one-to-one or in a group setting. So number one, and I'm giving you also like the Buddhist answer here, because that's really where I'm at this point with all of this too. My beliefs have like evolved a little bit, but not too much has changed actually. So number one, do I believe that there are some souls who are not meant to be in a sacred partnership? Okay, I believe that if you have the karma to be in a sacred partnership, then you will experience a sacred partnership. But not everybody has the karma to do this, just like not everyone has the karma to fly to the moon or to be a millionaire or whatever else. So, and in Buddhism, karma is like an accumulation from also past lives of merit. And it's like you're the heir of all your words, thoughts, and deeds or actions. So wherever you're at in your karma in this incarnation, that's what you're experiencing. So if you are meant to experience a sacred partnership and you have the karma for it, you'll experience it. If it's something that you desire and you're like, well, I don't know if I have the karma for that, then you start to embody the traits that you do want to experience in this type of relationship. So in my case, that was devotion was a really big one. And for the last, like I said, over a decade, I was very focused on a devotional practice and being devoted to things fully, not just spiritually, but just in general, like committing to things fully or offering love to people even when it was hard, because this path to me is really about unconditional love. So you can practice that in many ways, and there are all different kinds of religions, and people talk about love in all these different religions. It's like, pick a path. Pick a path, like pick what resonates. I found Buddhism because it resonated, but not everybody wants to be a Buddhist, right? And you don't have to be a Buddhist to do any of this. Like that's just it. For me, it was my karma to find Buddhism to be like, yeah, that really resonates in that particular school of Buddhism and these people and this Sangha and this teacher, and this is the path. I'm just deciding to pick a path and stick with it, because to me, like, why make it confusing and continue to study 15,000 things? I found a lineage that's ancient wisdom, that's thousands of years passed down orally from teacher to student. To me, I'm like, I'm picking this path and now I'm going to study this and really apply myself. And that's just me. So pick your path. If this term resonates and you're not sure, like, I don't know if I can have this or not, like I said, just start embodying the qualities that you want to experience in a relationship in your life in general, not just with people that you like, but like I said, apply it at work, apply it with your family. Be compassionate when it's hard. Be loving to people that you don't really want to love. Be devoted to things beyond your spiritual life. So that's kind of what I feel. No, I don't think everyone's meant to be in this type of relationship, and not because you're more special or that you're like one is bad and one is good. It's like you either have the karma for it or you don't. And that's what I mean by dependent upon the work we do. I do think that that's true, because I do believe in the laws of karma. Number two, that's just my thoughts on that. If not everyone in the whole world would resonate with this, everyone would find meaning in the term sacred partnership or sacred union. But there are people out there who are like, what the fuck does that mean? Or I don't care about that. Or it means nothing to them. Just like, things are empty self-existently. It doesn't come from the term, the label, the book, the person. If so, everyone in the whole world would always have the same experience of it. So like the Magdalene manuscript is a great example. I find meaning in that book. But why do I see magic there and someone else picks it up and they're like, this means nothing to me? Or they're not interested, they don't want to read it at all. Because I have the karma to find that meaning in that book. But it's just like Buddhism. Why do I read the Dharma or I read a sutra and I'm like, wow, this is magical, and someone else is like, this is nonsense, this is bullshit, I don't care about this. We have different karma. So that's how I feel about that first part of the question. Is manifesting the physical partnership the only way to tell that you've been doing this type of work successfully? Or can you be like interested in this path of union and never manifest this type of relationship. Yeah, I don't think manifesting the relationship is the only way to tell that you're quote unquote having success, whatever you determine that to be. If you feel that the only way to feel that this has been successful is to be in a romantic relationship, that's just a perception, right? Because I think that it's pretty normal in my experience with hundreds and hundreds of clients that if you're resonating with this already, you're attracted to that term, or you want to be in a conscious partnership romantically, and you're on a spiritual path, and then you start to develop a spiritual practice, and then you're evolving and you're actually transforming and things are changing for the better in your world, and you're actually leaning into intimacy, even if it's just platonic at first, but you're like getting out of your comfort zone and you start to stretch, like it's pretty likely that as you transform, you're going to become more magnetic to a romantic relationship. Like it's very common that a lot of my clients have transitioned from being single, and I've been doing this work for over a decade, so people have had a lot of time, right? And many of my clients, but not all, but many of them have gone from being single to being in this, we'll call this type of relationship, or certainly preparation for an even deeper, even more devotional relationship, but at least they're conscious and aware, and they're applying a lot of these practices to whatever relationship they're in. Remember something else. I mean, I have people in my Buddhist group called Sangha, which is like your community of practitioners. There are people in my Sangha who are Buddhists and their partner is not spiritual. And they're still consciously relating with their partner from their end of things, which is all that matters anyway. Really, it's what are you doing, because that person is just the mirror. Your partner doesn't have to be spiritual in the way that you are. I mean, if that's what you want, then that's fine to desire that. But just know that like you can do this type of work and the other person doesn't need to be just like you. They don't need to be religious. They don't need to be spiritual per se. They don't need to be in spiritual communities. They don't need to follow spiritual stuff on social media. Like I know people that teach these practices and their like male partner, like they might be a teacher, like public figure doing relationship work, and they're like spiritual relationship work, and their partner's like a general contractor or something. They're like in construction. Like they have nothing to do with the spiritual work. It doesn't stop the practitioner from practicing and from having a beautiful experience. So I just want to put that out there. You don't have to manifest a person who's just like you to be on this path. Now, I do see that quite a few people that resonate with this and end up in romantic partnership with a person that they feel like they're in this type of union with. They're just calling it that, whatever. The other person oftentimes might be similar to them, and they might do spiritual work as well, or at least have their own spiritual practice. But that's not a requirement, so I'm just putting that out there as like a disclaimer. There's no like one way to do this. There isn't some specific blueprint, in my opinion. It could look so many different ways. It's honestly the energy that you're bringing to the table. That's all you can control, number one, and like that matters, I think, the most. It's what you're doing here. And yeah, can you be successful? We're putting that in between quotations, successful in this and never have this type of partnership. Of course, like if you're learning how to love people more and more, to me, you've already succeeded, because loving people is already not easy. I mean, unconditionally loving people. Again, that's why I became a Buddhist, to be like, can I really learn how to love people? And that's really that's what the whole thing is about. It's like the Bodhisattva path, or can I free my mind for the sake of all beings and truly love people? So of course you can be quote unquote successful and never manifest a partnership, but if you really want a partnership, then certainly get the ball rolling. You know what I mean? There are plenty of things that you can do, and not just revolving around romance, but in general. Like the reason why I create so many practices that are just about you is because at the end of the day, only you can control what you're doing, but your energy is what like attracts like. So if you want devotion in a partnership, you need to be devoted to things in your life. If you want someone to unconditionally love you, you need to start unconditionally loving people. If you want deep intimacy, then you need to start creating a more intimate relationship with yourself, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. You need to start deepening your intimacy with the people in your life, like your friends, like your colleagues, or whomever else, you know, people in your inner circle, your family members. Like start where you're at. Practice where you are now. I think most people just want to jump ahead to some end game, but remember, I love this quote, desire, because again, we're in this realm of suffering, which in Buddhism they call samsara. we're suffering here. If we were enlightened, we wouldn't be suffering. But of course, we live in a realm where like life is suffering, but there's a path out. So we're like, okay, what's the path out? Well, it's these teachings that I'm learning. So I'm like, cool, let me start to apply these things and see if I can decrease my suffering. But we understand that one of the ways we suffer is by believing, like ignorant craving, like believing that the happiness comes from our romantic partner. If the happiness wasn't coming from our experience, our perception of them, and it was always coming fixed from the partner, self-existently, from my romantic partner, for example, your romantic partner. If I'm looking at a partner and I'm thinking the happiness comes from this person, then they should make me happy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from now until infinity. But we know that that's not the case. So then how could the happiness be coming from the partner if we're not always having the same fixed experience of them at all hours, all days of the week, forever? So that's something to remember here. Most of the work, quote unquote, that I'm offering to people is to understand themselves, right? It's to get into their own mind and work with your own mind through meditation and through other, inquiry, whatever, reflections. Even the school that I study in Buddhism is very heavy on logic and debate, because they're not like, hey, we're just going to offer this to you, believe what I say at face value. They're saying, even the Buddha was like, hey, try it out for yourself and see if it resonates, see if it works for you. Don't just believe what I'm saying. Go try it. That's part of why I love where I landed, because it feels so resonant to be like, yeah, you're right. Let me go try and see if I can prove or disprove this for myself, or what experience am I having with these teachings. It's not a cult, you know what I mean? So that's my thoughts on this. That is how I feel about this. I mean, I think that if you are attracted to this path, it's because you're here to learn how to truly love people, unconditional love. And what I am teaching people is deep intimacy. Deep intimacy is not just sex. I don't want to get censored on here, like cut. It's not just that. It's not just physical, right? Deep intimacy is emotional, it's mental, it's physical, it's spiritual, it's being able to go deeper and deeper in connection with another person, beyond the surface levels of things, to be able to be uncomfortable with someone else, to be able to, in a safe way, in a safe, secure way, go deeper and deeper, just like we're going in our spiritual practice, purifying as we go, and able to sustain those periods of transformation and purification that are really uncomfortable, so that we can enjoy the good parts, but that we're not just abandoning as soon as things get challenging. And that's really the practice, of conscious relationship, because it is alchemy. And that's why I use the book to Magdalene manuscript, because I trust the author. He's both a scientist and spiritual. He's very grounded. He's been doing this work for a really long time. He's been in his relationship, romantic, for a very long time. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to find what resonates for you and find teachers and people that you trust that are having these experiences. But I wouldn't judge your progress on just having a romantic relationship, because again, honey on a razor blade, the second that you get the thing you want, it cuts, because we're in a realm of suffering. The happiness isn't coming from the partner. So the second you manifest the romantic partnership of your dreams, the thing you're having all these magical thoughts about, you're still going to have issues later. It's like the problems don't go away. And so we have to understand that the happiness isn't coming from them, but that doesn't mean, you have to be able to hold the paradox of both things. The happiness isn't coming from the thing. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the thing while it's there, whatever the thing is. Your home, I love where I live. I love to live in a beautiful environment. I like to have certain, comforts. A romantic relationship is amazing. And there's and having money in the bank is awesome, but I'm not attached to those things. It doesn't mean I don't want them. It doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy it. It just, if I can understand that the happiness, the joy, or whatever isn't coming from that thing specifically, then it helps me enjoy it without grasping and clinging. Right? So that's it. So that's how I feel about this question. I hope that answers the question. If you're attracted to this path and you're really unsure whether or not you're ever going to be in a relationship, continue, keep coming in, keep going, because there's so much that you can do on your own that's going to help you feel not just so much better, but change your world. Because the more loving and compassionate and kind you are with yourself and the people around you, the more your reality is going to transform into something more loving, more compassionate, more intimate. Start where you're at. Again, I've designed programs for this. I've got audio bundle. I've got the Return of Venus for women to start developing an intimate relationship on all levels, not just physical, with themselves. The relationship you have with you and your mind is all that matters, because that's the foundation of every other part of your reality. So start where you're at and start with yourself. Start developing and deepening the relationship you have with you. And then you get to bring that everywhere you go. And then things are going to start to improve. That I can almost definitely guarantee. If you're genuinely practicing these things, your world will continue to get better and better. But we got to like enjoy the journey and understand that the happiness doesn't come from this like final destination unless the destination is enlightenment completely. And who knows, I'm doing my best, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Who knows when we'll get there? I just know that I'm going to do my best efforts in this life as much as I can. I hope that helps you guys. Drop your questions in the community tab and keep them coming. And I will be back soon with another one.